Well, the first home map is going to be home map of Team kLu from Mexico, and it should be Arabia from what I have seen in the game room, and that definitely is Arabia. So I'm going to be taking this down, or rather the fog of war down, so that we potentially see some attempts at stealing. Oh, how is the color actually? So one flank seems to be chart, right? Yeah, chart is one of the flanks. Yellow May is going to be the second flank. So we are going to be looking at about here at the position at the bottom. Askaname is the flank on the left from kLu, and on the right it's going to be Sunin, who is already going in, almost it seems like, for a boar, and he definitely could be seen this one. That's definitely achievable for him. You can see both of his boars are kinda alright. So let's have a look if he can actually find this one. It's going to be a bit tricky. He is aiming into the wrong side. And where is the second board for blue? Somewhere on the right. Okay, that seems to be reasonably safe, but it's almost looking like that green will be discovering the board. And is there going to be attempt to steal it? Kinda curiously not. And considering that he's actually going to be playing against Chart, a 2K player, that would definitely be a pretty good advantage for him, but he doesn't seem like wanting to actually do anything like that, which is really unusual. And he's right now going to be aiming for the second board on the left. And looking on the minimap, you don't see any kind of stealing on the left side between gray and yellow yet. So let's see if Sunin right now attempts to steal at least this one. Actually, no, he just steals the sheep, which is of course quite valuable for him as well, as the other scout is quite far away. But this is really kind of curious, as they are choosing to basically play a gentlemanly game in here. Nice to see, but well, not exactly sure. We won't be disappointed by not taking this chance. Well, we'll see, especially since he's a Mongol. Well, yeah, extra hunt for him would definitely be quite welcome, but not going to be the game plan from them. And looking at the civilizations for so far, we are looking at the Mayans, Mongols, Huns, and Spanish. From WaR, from the Japanese clan, and for the opponents, we are looking at Mayans, Mongols, Huns, and Spanish. So pretty much a proper mirror in here for both of these clans clashing today. So going with the villager to the bottom, not exactly sure where, as we are looking at a bit of idle time, unfortunately, due to bad pathing of the game. But well, luckily for him, May won't be finding anything interesting in here that he could be actually targeting himself, as he, right now, he is going with the second bar. Oh, just the first one. The second. Let's have a look around. Quite far away from the base. I'm definitely hoping that he sees that. And, oh, well, I'm not exactly sure. He could have maybe seen it if the bar did venture just the one where atop out of the fog of war, which definitely might have been the case, because I would be surprised why he wouldn't be trying to find it with the Eagle Warrior. So I'm definitely certain that he has seen that, because it wouldn't make any sense otherwise, and well, shouldn't be really any kind of problem. And interestingly enough, there is going to be a mill right on top of the berries, which are quite close, to be honest, to the town center. So I'm not exactly sure if it is all that efficient. Maybe he could have went for it without it, but he probably thought we are on Arabia, playing against skilled opponents, so basically every second is going to be counting to advance into the next age, so he just wants to be safe. And well, better safe than sorry against opponents of the caliber like WaR are. Now we are seeing the mill on the right side from chat as well, but this is definitely much more valuable for him, as it's quite far away from the home base. Otherwise, looking for example into the pocket position, we are looking at basically Psych Jolly having the same position as his opponent on the other side, Chocobo. They are quite plastered on the wall, which is usually not really all that great idea, or rather, that great map spawn, because it means you are not having any kind of space for buildings behind your base, and if you are having the front wide open, which is luckily for Chocobo not the case for him, he can basically easily go for walling. He already is walling through the houses. It might be a bit of a problem, and it seems like that it's going to be a problem for the red player, because it seems like that his base is wide open. It definitely is. He could potentially be walling on this side using the gold and stone, but definitely not ideal. Whereas on the left, oh, that's pretty very bad. He's going to be really open, and it's going to be costing him a lot of resources to wall this part of the map if he doesn't want to be raided by his opponents. He's probably going to be helped by Sanchito, who is the other pocket player for kLu. And he seems to be basically equally open, even though having a ton of mines on the right, both gold and the stone. That's a nice spawn for him if he can somehow protect it. But on the left, he seems to be open as well. But it could be kinda easily rectified by just wall about this position, and he should be quite close by to his teammate, so it's going to be a bit tricky, but shouldn't be all that bad for him as it is for the red player in the deep pocket. Well, we are already looking at the Drush coming from chart, of course, as you'd be expecting. Sanin is in the meantime basically rushing into the fuel age, so oh, actually he might be actually stopped from building the barracks. That could be pretty bad for him. Let's have a look at this, as the Han player is going to be having a bit of fun potentially, but does he see this? Let's switch to chart's point of view. Not yet. Oh, somebody got lucky. Somebody got quite lucky, because that could have been easily a disaster for Sanin, because if he didn't get to build the barracks before he advances into the fuel age, or about the time when he advances into the fuel age, he wouldn't be able to put down probably the stable, I would be thinking, as a Mongol into the scouts. And then he wouldn't be able to defend at all. But right now he should be kind of alright-ish. He has enough wood, that is. Yeah, he does. 7 to 102, that should be quite alright, as he's right now forcing to basically gather from the stragglers, but he does have them still. And since he's right now going to be building this building, or under the stable right under the TT fire, it should be quite alright, and not much of a chance for Chart to be harassing the villagers anymore. But still, he did force the wall in. That's quite a lot of resources on the wood line, so yep, not really bad at all for him. And of course, that's the reason why you are rushing to slow the economy of your opponent down. So scouts are going to be coming up. That should be pretty decent defense against the militias. As on the left, we are looking at a lot of walling from Mei, and of course at the bottom also from Kaname. And this is really curious wall. Already double palisade, and in a really curious spot, basically right next to their home TC. So he's going to be forcing his opponent basically under the TC fire, but I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be all that useful. There's going to be a bit of fighting between the Drushes of both Kaname and Mei, because of course if you are going to be forcing army next to the TC, you are probably going to be forcing those farm villagers to be retreating home into the safety of the town center as well, which means no getting enough resources, so it's kind of double-edged sword. Even though I see the idea, yeah, he kind of should be careful what he wishes for, as there definitely might be a bit of a problem for him. As far as seems to be that the battle is going alright for WaR. Yeah, just now losing the militia, but yeah, this guy is almost dead, and those are pretty much alright. So if they play this correctly, and get maybe some kind of help from the scout from Chocobov, who is unfortunately almost dead as well, that's gonna be some kind of idea for them, but it seems like that it's going to be it, and not really all that much of a Drush effectivity from Mei. But of course, even though he didn't get into the economy of his opponent, he at least stopped the Drush from his opponent, so that's of course quite well worth it. In the meantime, we are looking at the scouts that have dealt with the blue Drush getting into the Radiant themselves, not really all that much of a defense right now by chart. He's just establishing his economy, and Executor is going, wow, kind of rushing into Castle Age. That's going to be about 15 minutes into Castle Age. It's pretty decent to be honest about it. Usually I think that you advance into Castle Age about 17 minutes or some such, if I remember correctly. So this seems like, well, quite an interesting choice, and I don't really see any kind of slinging going on, so it's going to be all players for themselves. And really, Mei is investing a lot into the walling, using all the buildings, even the nature, and what the nature has provided for him, and he is quite definitely aiming to connect with his teammate Chocobo and finish the walling in here so that they are as safe as possible, as they have already plugged the holes on the left. There's going to be attempted walling, and oh, there's a hole. Yeah, somebody didn't plug it. That sucks. But it's not like it would be mattering all that much, because of course there would be a way through around the cliff on the right side, but still. And this is kinda tricky. And especially if Executor is not aware of it, you might be leaving it open for the later game. And once, for example, Knights or even Mangudais get in, well, in the later game, that will be a pretty big disaster for not only Executor, but for the whole team of WaR. Looking, of course, right now at pretty decent archer raiding by chart, so that was basically the reason why he wasn't paying all that much of attention of the raiding, or rather to the raiding on his home base. He's right now defending with the pikemen, other spearmen, and those archers, well, they are going to be countered by the skirmishers, as a pretty good reaction by Sunin, but it doesn't seem like that it's going to be enough just for the time being. But looking at the amount of Scout Cavalry, it's probably going to be just fine. Depends how well right now Char plays this with this micro. He's going to be supplying something like the archers. It's an idles right now from kLu, unfortunately for them. And he doesn't seem to be ready for anything else, but since he's Han, I'm kinda curious if he's going to be switching into cavalry archers, and since he's not really preparing for anything else, and he's still sticking to the field age, it might be making some kind of sense, as he's not really booming all that hard, but he's going for a wheelbarrow. That could be signaling that the paladins are definitely in there sometime soon, or paladins to be, so first knights of course and then cavaliers, as wheelbarrow is quite good for farming of course. And not only that. Otherwise, the walling just continuing for Chocobo in the middle, as he's already in the castle age, as a lot of players in the game are. And in the right, or rather on the right, we are looking at Kaname as the Han, already having the cavalry archers, exactly as we are expecting from Char sometime soon. But for that, of course, he needs to advance into the feudal age, or rather into castle age, as there is still the age that he's in together with Sunin on the other side. So they are having a bit of a feudal age fight between themselves, but they will be needing some kind of help from their teammates. So that's Executor and Psych Jolly in here. So basically pretty nice team play by both teams, by both WaR and kLu, as kLu are going to be having knights together with some skirmishers and scout cavalry. But on the other side we are looking at knights as well, with pretty decent amount of archers already. So let's see who advances faster into the feudal age. Is it going to be Sunin or his opponent? Now House doesn't have the resources yet, and Char is quite close by, so it's going to be Char definitely a whole lot faster into the next age. So they will be waiting to play it correctly and not lose any units needlessly, unless or rather until he's in the next age, and then potentially if he's going to be switching into crossbowmen, we'll see bowmen or cavalry archers, but with the amount of archers that he's having, I definitely think that the investment into crossbowmen would be well worth it. It's waiting for the storm to come, whereas on the left we are looking at a bit of a raiding from May, at least attempted raiding, and yep, they are definitely looking to capture the hills in this quite interesting landscape, a lot of hills all around, and it's going to be really all up to either May or his opponent Kaname, who picks the better hill. So far seems to be going better for the grey player. You'll be kinda expecting due to the numbers, and well, since Sanchito is going to be having a bit of fun in here as well, this is going to be double against May, and May will most definitely have to retreat from this battlefield, as this is not really going to be working for him all that well. Where is actually Chocobo right now? He's basically booming, it seems like. 1, 2, 3 town centers for him, and since he's Spanish, right? Yep, and doesn't drop a castle in the castle age, it definitely signals that he's going to be hurrying up into the Imperial Age, and then it's paladins from him. Horse Scholar for Sunin. Well, kinda makes sense of course, since he is Mongol, and we will want to be having under either a few knights in there. The castle age once he advances, or he's already thinking about Mangudais in the Imperial Age, which is definitely going to be quite valuable for him, as he is also working on a bit of volume on the right, as he wants to secure the trade route already for the next age. That's going to be from about here, all the way down here. Quite effective for them, but same could be said about the opponents. They are already working on it. It's probably going to be starting about here, unless they develop a bit further south. And it's still quite valuable and quite alright for them, so it should be pretty much alright. Sanchito with Kaname are right now thinking that they can actually go into a bit of an offensive, as knights from Chocobo are already trickling in. One needs to be a whole lot more careful. And well, Mai is just now right now waiting for a bit of a fight on this highest hillock in the vicinity, but he needs to go somewhere else because of course this army is a bit more problematic than he would be hoping for. Bit of raiding by the knights, and still the way is open, but it's still open on the right as well. Bit of a wolf train. And all those knights from Psych Jolly actually are kinda scary right now for Executor, because he doesn't have all that much of an army, he's having literally just this one knight. And even though he does have the town centers and he's booming as a Mongol, of course, as he should be, Well, he definitely needs to be careful about the defense, and he should be finishing with the wall in because, of course, he cannot rely on Char to basically solve all the problems, as especially he is right now going for a full-on offensive with crossbowmen already, and some quite nicely prepared pikemen, other spearmen, ready for the knights from Side Jolly. But well, those knights are already somewhere else, and the somewhere else is in Executor's base. He needs to be careful because, of course, he's facing a lot of fire from the towers. And that's why Chart is right now retreating, but unfortunately, Executor apparently didn't get the memo, and well, not only is he not guarding his base, he's right now losing units in the attack as well. So not really good news for him, but he seems to be already switching into the camels, and that will be pretty decent defense on here. On the left, we are looking at interesting battle right now brewing, as Kaname is just trying to make sure that he somehow is able to deal with both the crossbowmen and the knights from Chocobo, but it's probably not going to be working for him all that much. We are in the pause, because of course the army is going to be getting stronger by the minute, and once the knights are in just a bit too big numbers, they are of course going to be very hard to take down, even by any kind of hit and run that Kaname might be attempting to do. In the meantime, we're of course looking at walling from Sunin. Curiously enough, his teammates are not continuing with it, which they definitely should, because they need to be protecting their trade route. That is going to be important pretty soon. And there needs to be some kind of wall from about here to probably here. I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of tricky map for them. Tricky. And knights from Saint-Jolly already coming in, of course, as they are going to be quite important into the defense to help his green teammate set up and establish himself, as he is the lone player in the game that is still in the feudal age. Looking, for example, at the economy, we are having pretty much equal players. Just it seems like the Chocobo is far away from the opponent. Executor is not doing bad either, but of course he was raided by his opponent. And that cost him at least a few villagers right now going to be switching into the pocket. But with the camels in tow, it shouldn't be all that much of a problem. And he should be able to defend against that. Another stable coming up from Chocobo. In Barden armor, bloodlines, wheelbarrow, yeah, all the important upgrades coming up. Of course, as we are looking at Char trying to switch the battlefield from the right side to the left, and well, that's definitely not a bad idea, especially since he's right now alone and is facing potentially quite a deadly army through all his attempts. But he still does have the spearman, and if he micros properly, which he definitely should as a 2k player, he'll be having a pretty good chance to deal even with the double army of his opponents. Yeah, like Jolly just now returning home, and interestingly enough, in the pocket, or rather, yeah, in the middle, in the pocket of the map, we are looking at Sanchito having pretty decent amount of army of his plumed archers, and they definitely could be quite threatening, especially with the amount of cavalry archers that Kaname is having as well. So if they play it correctly and fight alongside each other, they definitely could be getting rid of all the army of Mei. And since it's pretty big, well, that could be putting a stop to any kind of attempts that wars are probably having, or rather thinking about having, plans about the attack on their opponents. That wasn't really great English from me right there. So cavalry archers are going to be the unit of choice for Chart in the Castle Age. Definitely makes sense, and he's already through. And it's almost looking like that it's some kind of bug, but it isn't. That is just a ball that has been taken down by the concentrated fire by the crossbowman. Really, this funny optical illusion right here. It's almost looking like that it's actually going to be continuous wall, but it's not. And well, there is definitely way through for all those archers, both on the horses and on feet, and on foot rather. And they are going to be denying this gold. And is there some kind of other gold? Ah yeah. Luckily for Sunin, there is a gold on the right side, and due to a very nice walling that he has already finished on the right, with the last villager in here, he seems to be quite alright, and his economy should be reasonably intact, though he definitely needs to get rid of this army, otherwise it could be quite deadly, especially the cavalry archers if they got into a nice economy, like for example in here, into the pocket, into the Spanish player, and that could deny the paladins that are definitely going to be coming. Well, Executor is right now going to be chasing two more knights than just this one. He's going to be joining into the fight with his blue teammate. And on the left, we are looking at basically a pretty big problem. Sanchito has gotten through into yellow's base and is potentially going to be killing quite a lot of villagers. But he is being pursued by Chocobo, who is at least having some knights to help his teammate defend. As his main army is somewhere else on the right, trying to finish with the wall in, and oh well. Ha ha ha, Kaname is already having even a mango now, so not really good news, especially looking at the amount of army that Kaname is having. It's really looking quite alright for kLu on the left side, but unfortunately, yeah, those dudes are not going anywhere, but at least they were able to find a quite nice spot for them to hide. Well, they are going to be trying to lure them quite far away so that these knights could be killing them with fewer losses. So this seems like a pretty nice spot for a WaR, Chart and Executor to be having a bit of fun, as into the Imperial Age are advancing Sanchito, Executor and Choco. Mei is right now going for Thumbring and Ballistics, and since he's Mayan, that of course makes sense, and he's going to be switching into Plume Touches himself. I'll be thinking. Maybe in the meantime he's just going to be continuing with the Crossbowman to be Arbalists. But he should be switching into Plume Touches sometime soon, I would be expecting. Or maybe not, and he's going to be switching into Eagle Warriors. That definitely could be some kind of idea for him, as we are seeing a switch of Chart with Executor from the right into the pocket. And they are having pretty scary army, and well, it's not that bad for their opponents either, so it's going to be all up to proper micro. As the camels definitely need to protect against all those knights. The hill is definitely helpful. That is definitely helpful. So that's 5 plus 2 into the upgrades, 0 plus 1 into armor, and 5 plus 2, 0 plus 1, so it's pretty much the same for both of these players, so they are equal. But these reinforcements, oh man, that's going to be exactly important, because right now it's basically 3 versus 2, and it's of course not a battle that wars are going to be wanting to fight at all. So they are right now retreating, which they of course need to do. And well, on the left, this should be resulting into some kind of advantage potentially for Chocobo with Mei, but they don't seem to be all that ready for it. And well, on the other hand, Kaname is most definitely ready, as all those cavalry archers with recent upgrades plus 2 and plus 1 onto the defense as well, and with the Mango now, he is most definitely ready for any kind of clumped archers, exactly like Mei is right now having. And those Chocobos villagers need to be a bit more careful. They were probably trying to set up themselves with stables about here, so they are as close to the battlefield as possible, as we are looking at the army of camels getting ever stronger by Executor, as he is going for what upgrades? Thumbring and Heavy Camels. So Heavy Camels in the meantime, but he is definitely already thinking about the elite Mango dice that are going to be coming in from the Mongol a bit later. Imperial Age for Mei, Chocobo already coming for Cavalier and played Bard in armor. Let's switch into Chocobo, as we are looking enough resources for Chart, basic, or rather for Sunin. Was it Sunin I was having clicked in? Yeah, Sunin is having pretty decent resources, so going to be advancing into Imperial Age as the Mongol pretty soon as well. Bit of siege from Blue, but probably gonna get killed quite easily by Jody, but I wanted to switch into Chocobo, and he's having quite decent resources, so it's going to be Paladin as soon as Cavalier hits. And looking at this economy overall, 131, that's by far the best in the game, and well, that's going to be a pretty big storm of Paladins coming from him into the gameplay very soon, considering that the second best in the economy is Executor as a Mongol for WaR. Well, kLu's definitely need to hurry up, because they are not really all that well off, especially considering just 55 villages for Sunin. That's like half of the second best, or rather second worst in there, so not good news for him at all if he is to stay in such a situation. Oh, and right now he's probably gonna lose a lot of units, because this is quite a good army. Heavy cavalry archers, heavy camels. Quite nice micro right now by Executor to get rid of the knights, the cavalries that they cannot get into all those cavalry archers, and this army is really just a bit too scary for kLu, and they need to retreat from this position. And let's have a look how's it looking on the left, and quite alright for kLu. As of course, we have seen that a bit before. This castle, and they are through into opponent's base, but they need some kind of counter army to all those paladins to be. Yeah, they definitely are going to be paladins pretty soon, even though they are going to be faster for Psych Jolly, which is kind of interesting, as we have seen the resources for the Japanese player, but well, he opted to take this a bit more slowly, and well, that means that the paladins will be joining the game for kLu first in here. Kaname already in the Imperial Age, it's kinda getting scary on the left for wars. As we are looking at some interesting upgrades. Coinage from Chocobo. So is he going to be switching into a bit of a sling? Sanchito is having coinage as well. So that seems like that he's going to be slinging also. We have already seen a bit of a sling into Chocobo. Or from Chocobo. Let's check. Ah, from Chocobo into May. Allow him up a bit to advance into the next age, but well, we are not really seeing all that much of a push in here. Paladins in, and okay, so that was just probably missed by the overlay. Yeah, that would have been really curious why he wouldn't invest into Paladins when he had them. So yep, they are first right now in, slightly faster than from Snipe Jolly, and it seems like that we are just waiting for the inevitable big clash from the clues, whereas on the right, unfortunately for clues, the battle doesn't seem to be going alright. As after defeating the army of both Sunin and Snipe Jolly, they are right now advancing into just the forward base, the main base of Sunin. And Sunin is literally in a pretty tough spot, still in the castle age, having just 68 villagers, which is much better than what he was having just a bit earlier. But yeah, he's losing a lot of farms in this position, and since he's Mongol, right now finally getting the castle up, he already should be into Imperial Age and getting ready to spam as many Mangurais as he can. He needs to be getting there. Sunin. And I'm almost thinking that actually the slinging that is going to be happening from Sanchito might be to sling Sunin, so that he actually gets into the Imperial Age and finally can join with some better units than just the crossbowmen. That the better units are of course going to be very important Mangurais. So yeah, pretty big army, and there are going to be some reinforcements coming in, and oh well, yeah, of course, those villages are not going to be safe here, like at all. So goodbye, gold mining for Sanchito, as those Mangurais are finally joining into the fun, having basically full upgraded. Big Mangurais in there, and well, those siege workshops are right on the top of their opponents. Well, that's of course going to be quite scary in there. In the meantime, we are looking at May together with Chocobo advancing onto the opponents on the left, with the trebuchet having a bit of fun with the castle as well. And once the castle actually falls, it's going to be quite tricky, because it will open all the extra avenue to get around those pluntaches, which are quite nicely clumped in here, but they are getting killed nonetheless. And once the castle is down, it's just going to be a confirmation of the situation, especially with the help of all the crossbowmen being behind the castle, and the castle from the opponents being just now dropped. So this part of the map is most definitely coming into win and run's power. And they seem to be quite alright advancing on their opponents, because it doesn't seem like that they are having strong enough economy to replenish the losses. Yeah, just now Kaname exactly making the remark in here, being at 83 population, whereas their opponent's Chocobo is full pop, May is 155, so that's just a pretty big advantage for them. And oh well, the switch into the archers is real, from the crossbowmen not even investing into arbalests, and paladins coming from Kaname and Chart, but probably not going to be fast enough, I'm thinking, because this is really quite scary right now. Full upgraded paladins from Chocobo, whereas on the right, yep, pretty good job by Chart, and even though there is a pretty good defense going on by both Sunin and his teammate Snipe Jolly, probably not going to be strong enough, because the cavalry archers with Mangurais joined by this swarm of siege rams are going to be getting rid of the castles without any kind of problem. And with the help from the right, by the cheap light cavalry, of course, yeah, that's going to be quite good help, and really should be a bit too much to handle for Corpus on the right side, as on the left they are of course going to be hammered as well. So yeah, let's have a look into this battle. One of the castles down, and can actually those paladins do something? They are a unit not to be underestimated, even at rather exactly against archers. They should be getting hammered. But I'm kinda interested once the battle is somehow going somewhere. It seems to be going alright for WaR, as in the middle there is pretty big threat right now brewing. Bit of a fun with the siege rams from the Mongol. They are just going to be coming into the opponent's base unawares, catching them unawares and just laying waste to everything in their path. Whereas on the left, that's exactly right now happening with Chocobo, killing absolutely everything in his path, dropping his opponents. Yeah, for example, Kaname from about 100 villages into 63, and yeah, GG's are right now going to be cooled pretty soon, because of course this is a pretty tough situation for them. And Wars, even though they were having all kinds of problems on the left especially, they are pulling through, and they are going to be winning the first premier match in season 40 for them and for kLu. Yeah, right now getting in there. And the last minute, you have a bit of fun against their opponents, and well, quite nicely played, even though it wasn't as easy as it probably somebody might have expected for them. So very nicely played by kLu's, and they did put up quite a nice effort on their home map. So let's have a look at the achievements. Probably not going to be anything all that important. Chocobo, well, yeah, it was kind of evident he was playing well, but Chart wasn't bad either. So those two 2K players definitely pulled through. Played exactly what we would be expecting from them. But otherwise, pretty nice echo from Executor in the pocket, even though he was ready there in Castle Age. But didn't really stop him from having a pretty nice game as a Mongol. And his camos were definitely quite important in there. Well, GG.